All right, let's dive in. We're heading over to Bangladesh today.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, going to be looking at their education system.
Cool.
And we're using, a research paper to kind of guide us along.
Okay.
It's by Mohit Prodhan. He's an assistant professor over at Ranada Prasad Shaha University. And the paper is called The Present Situation of Education System in Bangladesh and Scope for Improvement.
Catchy.
Yeah, you know how academics are with titles?
Straight to the point.
Always.
Well, I mean, education is always a big topic, right?
Huge.
But when you're talking about a country that's like developing super fast and changing all the time,
Right.
it gets even like more fascinating to see how it's all working out.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's really cool is like Bangladesh, they've actually pulled off something that a lot of like even developed countries have trouble with.
Oh, what's that?
They have gender parity in their education system.
Wow.
Yeah, both primary and secondary education.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
The paper talks about this as like a major success story.
Absolutely.
But what I like is that Prodhan doesn't just like say, oh, they did this.
Yeah.
He actually goes into the AW,
Yeah.
which is like what we're all about here, right?
Really?
Like he doesn't just say government initiatives,
Right.
gets into specifics.
I like that.
Yeah, and it turns out it was like a multi-pronged approach
Yeah.
that was really key for them.
Okay.
So there were these conditional cash transfers, right?
Yeah, I've heard of those.
To encourage families to like actually send their girls to school. And then they also focused on making the schools themselves like more girl-friendly.
How'd they do that?
They really focused on improving the sanitation facilities.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially for, girls.
Right, exactly.
It's like basic needs have to be met
Right,
before you can even think about learning. Right.
exactly.
Yeah. And also, we can't forget about the huge investment they made in like recruiting and training female teachers.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah, to have like role models and just a more supportive environment
Exactly.
for girls in the classroom.
So like they tackled not just enrollment,
Right.
but the underlying like social and cultural barriers that were keeping girls out of school in the first place.
Which is so important.
It really paid off.
Yeah, it's impressive.
This feels like one of those things where like other countries could really learn something from what Bangladesh has done,
Absolutely.
It's not just about like declaring we want equality.
Right.
It's about actually understanding like the real challenges, the nuances.
And then like actually putting practical solutions into place.
Right, doing the work.
Yeah.
But, Prodhan's research doesn't just stop at the good stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be some challenges, right?
Yeah. It also highlights this issue. It's kind of complex.
Oh.
It seems that, while access to education has gotten a lot better,
Okay.
the quality of the education itself
Oh, that's interesting.
isn't really meeting expectations. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Right.
More kids are going to school.
Yeah, more than ever.
But it's like, what are they actually getting out of it?
Yeah, what are they learning?
That's where it gets tricky.
That's where things get really interesting.
For sure.
So Prodhan points to a few things that are holding them back,
Okay. What are...
like big culprits,
Lay it on me.
One of them is the curriculum.
Yeah.
He says it's outdated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it doesn't really give students, like, the skills they need in today's world.
That's a problem.
Especially, with technology changing so fast.
Right. The world's moving so quickly.
Yeah, it's tough to keep up.
And if you're learning stuff in school that has nothing to do with what's happening out in the real world,
Right, it's almost pointless.
like, what's the point?
It's like training for a marathon by walking around your living room.
Oh, I like that.
You're moving, but you're not exactly ready for the real thing.
No, not at all.
And it's not just the curriculum either.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah, there's a huge shortage of like well-trained teachers.
Oh, wow.
A lot of them just don't have the skills or the knowledge.
To really teach effectively.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you've got the, like, limited use of technology in classrooms.
Especially in those rural areas.
Oh, right. Yeah, that makes sense.
And that just makes everything harder.
Definitely. Well, this is...
It is. It's a lot.
Yeah, but before we, like, get too deep into all that,
Yeah.
I think we have to talk about, like, the elephant in the room,
What's that?
the socioeconomic stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because education doesn't just exist in a bubble, right?
No, not at all.
Like a kid's background, their family, their situation, all that plays a huge role.
For sure.
So what does Prodhan say about, like, how all that socioeconomic stuff affects education in Bangladesh?
Okay, yeah, so...
Because I'm curious.
Well, he doesn't paint the prettiest picture.
Oh.
Yeah, he talks about how poverty forces so many kids to drop out of school.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's not because they're not smart enough.
No, not at all.
It's because they have to, like, help their families survive.
Yeah, they have to work or help out at home.
Right, basic needs.
Just to make ends meet.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is. And then there's the issue of, like, parental education, too.
Oh, yeah.
If the parents didn't get to go to school themselves,
Right.
they might not really get how important it is for their kids.
Yeah, and that just perpetuates the cycle.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
It is. It's tough to break out of that.
Really tough.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, like, are there any programs that are specifically trying to help these kids, you know,
Oh, good
the
question.
ones who are most vulnerable?
Yeah, are they trying to keep them in school?
Yeah, give them the support they need
That's what you need.
to succeed.
Yeah, to have a chance.
Exactly.
Okay, well, there are some programs, and we'll definitely get to those.
Okay, good.
But first, I think we got to switch gears a little
Okay.
and talk about higher education in Bangladesh.
All right, higher ed. What's going on there?
Well, more people are getting access to it, which is great.
Yeah.
But there's this growing worry about, like, the gap between what they're learning in school and what's actually needed out in the job market.
Oh, okay.
It's a complicated situation,
Yeah,
and it's got big implications.
I can imagine.
Yeah, for the graduates themselves, but also for, like, the whole country's economic development.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It's like, imagine you spend all this time and money getting a degree,
Yeah.
but then you graduate and you're like, wait, nobody needs these skills anymore.
Oh, that's got to be frustrating.
It's super
What's causing this mismatch?
Right.
And, like, more importantly, are they doing anything to fix it?
Yeah, that's the big question.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that.
Well, that's a fantastic question. And Prodhan actually spends a lot of time in the paper, like, unpacking this whole thing.
Okay, good.
And he says, you know, a lot of it comes down to the curriculum.
Again.
Yeah. He says it's just too rigid,
Oh, okay.
outdated, and there's just not enough connection with what's actually happening in industries.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like they're stuck in the past a little bit.
They need to update.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that saying, those who can't do, teach.
Oof. Out.
But in this case, it's like, those who teach haven't done in a while.
Yeah, exactly.
It really does feel like a classic case of, like, you know, academia being kind of slow to catch up
Yeah, they get stuck in their ways.
with what's happening out there
The ivory tower.
in the real world.
Yeah, it's hard to break out of that sometimes.
So how do you fix that?
Right.
Is it as easy as, like, universities just changing their classes?
Well, I mean, it's definitely part of it.
Okay.
For Prodhan, he suggests that, you know, they need a more, like, dynamic approach, you know?
Dynamic. Okay.
Not just set in stone.
Yeah.
They got to be more responsive to what's actually happening
Okay.
out there.
How do you do that?
Right.
Like, how do you...
Well, he says close collaboration with industry leaders.
Oh,
But,
interesting.
like, imagine if universities actually, like, talked to companies.
That would be novel, wouldn't it?
I know, crazy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, what do you guys actually need?
Yeah, what skills are you actually looking for when you're
Exact.
hiring people?
Yeah, what are you looking for in the people you're hiring?
Instead of just guessing.
And then, like, actually use that information to design their courses.
That seems so obvious
It does, right?
when you say it like that.
But it's amazing how often that doesn't happen.
Yeah, you'd think they'd be all over that.
You would, right?
Well, I mean, I'm sure some universities are, but
Some are, for sure. But there's definitely room for improvement.
yeah, it sounds like a lot of them aren't.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, wouldn't that kind of change be hard?
Oh, 100%.
Like, you think there would be some pushback?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, from people in academia?
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, traditionalists, you know?
Right, they like things the way they are.
Yeah, they're attached to the old ways of doing things.
They're comfortable.
They don't like change.
The old guard.
And, you know, change is hard.
It is, but sometimes it's necessary.
It is.
So what does Prodhan say about that?
Well, he basically says, like, look, yeah, there's going to be challenges,
Yeah.
but the benefits in the long run, they outweigh, like, the short-term discomfort.
Gotcha.
It's about the bigger picture.
So he's thinking big picture,
Yeah.
long term.
Long game.
Okay.
He actually, like, he imagines the system
Okay.
where internships, apprenticeships,
Cool.
like even guest lectures from people who are actually working in the field
Oh, it's great.
become, like, a normal part of learning.
So it's not just theoretical stuff.
No, it's hands-on, practical experience.
You're getting real-world experience.
And that wouldn't just, like, teach students practical skills.
Right.
It would also help them understand, like, how what they're learning actually applies to the real world.
Oh, okay.
Like, how it's used.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it's deeper than just learning facts.
Yeah, you're making connections.
It's about understanding.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's almost like
Go ahead.
creating a pipeline
Oh, interesting.
from the classroom to the workplace.
Like a direct connection.
Yeah, make that transition smoother.
And make sure the education is actually relevant,
Exactly.
which benefits everyone, right?
Oh, totally.
Not just the students,
It's a win-win.
but the companies too,
Yeah, they get graduates who are actually ready to work
who know what they're doing,
from day one.
who've had some experience.
It's like everybody wins.
This is making me think, though.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't just a Bangladesh problem, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
I feel like a lot of countries are struggling with this.
Yeah, it's a global issue.
How to prepare students for jobs that, like, might not even exist yet.
Exactly. The world's changing so fast. Like, how do you even know what to teach them?
It's a good question.
It's a tough one.
So it requires, like, a whole shift in how we think about education, right?
Totally.
It's not just about, like, these traditional subjects anymore.
No, it's got to be broader than that.
It's more about, like, critical thinking, problem solving,
Adaptability.
and, like, being willing to learn.
Lifelong learning, yeah.
Yeah, throughout your whole life.
'Cause things are going to keep changing.
Yeah, that's the one constant, right?
It's the only thing we can be sure of.
So, okay, we've talked about some pretty, like, heavy challenges here.
We have. It's a lot.
But I'm wondering,
Yeah.
does Prodhan, like, offer any solutions?
Oh, he does.
Okay, good.
And this is where his research gets really interesting, I think.
Okay, lay it on me.
He lays out this, like, roadmap
Oh, cool.
for how to make things better.
Okay.
And he highlights some key areas
Okay.
where, like, if they make strategic investments and, like, change some policies, they could really make a difference.
So, like, real concrete steps they can take.
Yeah, actionable stuff.
Oh, I like that.
And one of his big points is that investing in teachers
Oh, yeah.
is, like, absolutely essential.
Well, they're the ones on the front lines, right?
They're the backbone of the whole system.
It makes sense that they'd be a big focus.
Makes sense.
So, like, what kind of investments is he talking about?
Well, he really emphasizes the importance of professional development,
Oh, okay.
like ongoing training for teachers.
So it's not just like you go to school, you become a teacher, and that's it.
No, it's got to be continuous.
You got to keep learning.
Yeah, because things are always changing, like we were saying.
The world's changing, the students are changing,
Exactly.
the curriculum's changing.
You got to stay up to date.
Yeah.
So he says, make sure teachers have access to, like, the latest research,
Okay.
the best resources, and, like, opportunities to learn new skills.
Ways of teaching.
Yeah, new ways of teaching, new technologies.
So it's about, like, empowering teachers
Exactly.
to be the best they can be,
To keep growing and improving.
which ultimately benefits the students, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense.
That's the goal.
But what about the curriculum?
Oh, right.
You talked about how it's outdated.
That's a big one.
What does Prodhan say about fixing that?
So modernizing the curriculum,
Okay.
that's another key recommendation. But it's not just about getting new textbooks.
Yep.
It's about, like, making sure what they're teaching
Yeah.
actually aligns with what's going on in the world.
Okay, so global trends.
Global trends.
Global.
But also, like, the specific needs of Bangladesh.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, what are the skills that kids in Bangladesh are going to need
To succeed.
to thrive in the 21st century?
Right, and to help their country develop.
Exactly. It's got to be tailored to their context.
So it's really about, like, looking at the big picture
Yeah, and thinking critically about what they're teaching
and why
and
not.
why.
Okay, so it's a pretty big overhaul,
It's a big shift.
moving away from, like, just memorizing stuff.
Rote learning, yeah.
Yeah.
Towards a more, like, skills-based approach.
Yeah, practical stuff.
But there's also the issue of, like, limited technology.
Right, especially in those rural areas.
How do you even start to fix that?
Yeah, that seems like a huge hurdle.
It is, but Prodhan actually thinks that technology,
Okay.
if they use it right, could actually help bridge that gap.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, imagine a kid in a village
Okay.
who suddenly has access to, like, a ton of information.
But the internet, you mean?
Yeah, like the internet, online libraries, all that stuff.
Okay.
And they can connect with teachers
Oh, cool.
from all over the country.
Through video chat and stuff.
Yeah, and they can do virtual labs, experiments.
That's pretty amazing.
It's a pretty cool vision.
It is, but, like, how realistic is that?
Right.
We're talking about, like, internet access, computers, training people to use the technology.
It's a lot.
Maintaining it all.
Yeah, it's a huge undertaking.
It is.
And Prodhan acknowledges that
Okay, good.
he's not naive.
He knows it's not easy.
He says it's not a quick fix. It's going to take time and money.
Careful planning.
Yeah, careful planning.
Resources.
And he stresses that it's not just about the technology itself.
Okay.
It's also about making sure teachers know how to use it.
Oh, yeah. Teacher training is huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
And he also talks about the need for, like, public-private partnerships.
Okay, yeah, we touched on that earlier.
Yeah, to help with the funding.
Okay, because it's going to be expensive.
Yeah, and to get expertise from tech companies.
Oh, that makes sense.
So it's really about, like, a multi-pronged approach.
Okay.
Government, private sector, everyone working together.
And building up the capacity within Bangladesh itself.
Exactly. You can't just rely on outside help.
Yeah, you got to empower people to do it themselves.
Sustainability.
Okay, so we've got technology, we've got teacher training. What else does Prodhan recommend?
Well, he also talks about public-private partnerships in a broader sense.
Oh, okay. So beyond just the technology stuff.
Yeah, like imagine businesses and organizations actually stepping up to
Wow.
support education.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, like helping to build schools,
Okay.
funding scholarships,
Mhm.
supporting new, like, creative ways of learning.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's not just about the government doing everything.
Right, everyone chipping in.
It takes a village.
Exactly.
You determine how everything works.
Funding, standards, accountability.
It all flows from the policies.
Yeah, so Prodhan, he's got some recommendations for that too.
Okay, what does he say?
Smart policy reforms.
Smart, okay.
Yeah. So he says they need policies that promote inclusive education.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, making sure that every kid
Yeah.
has a chance to succeed,
No matter what.
no matter what their background is,
Yeah.
no matter their circumstances,
Whether they're rich or poor,
boy or girl,
city or country,
doesn't matter.
everyone gets a fair shot.
That's the goal.
Yeah, it's about, like, leveling the playing field.
Exactly.
So that everyone has the opportunity.
The opportunity to reach their full potential.
Yeah, and contribute to society.
Because when individuals thrive,
Yeah.
the whole nation benefits.
And Prodhan saying this requires
A big shift.
okay, in how we think about education.
Like a fundamental shift.
Yeah.
It's not just about, like, getting a job.
Okay.
It's about, like, human rights.
Oh, education is a human right,
Okay.
and it's the foundation of a strong society.
It's not just about creating workers.
No, it's about creating good citizens.
Yeah. Well-rounded people,
Critical thinkers.
people who can think for themselves,
Solve problems.
contribute to their communities.
In a meaningful way.
Yeah, that's a powerful idea.
It is.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We started with, like, celebrating Bangladesh's success with gender equality.
That was impressive.
Really impressive. Then we got into some, like, tougher stuff.
Yeah, the challenges are real.
The quality issues,
Yeah.
the outdated curriculum, the socioeconomic factors.
It's complicated.
It is, but it's a reminder that progress isn't always easy, right?
No, it's never a straight line.
There are always going to be bumps in the road.
Always.
And what I appreciate about Prodhan's research
Yeah.
is that he doesn't just point fingers.
No, he's not just complaining.
He actually offers solutions.
Practical solutions.
Yeah, based on data and, like, real understanding of Bangladesh.
Yeah, he knows what he's talking about.
It's one thing to identify problems.
Yeah, anyone can do that.
It's another to actually come up with solutions.
That's the hard part.
And he does that.
He does.
And this has given me a lot to think about.
Me too.
Not just about Bangladesh,
Right.
but about education everywhere.
The global conversation.
Like his emphasis on teacher development
Yeah, that's crucial.
and using technology strategically.
That's the future.
I think those are areas with huge potential. But they also require, like, careful thought.
Bro, absolutely.
Right.
I can't just throw technology at a problem and expect it to go away.
No, it's not a magic bullet.
It's a tool.
And you got to use it the right way.
Exactly.
There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Nope.
What works in Bangladesh might not work somewhere else.
Different contexts.
But what we can learn from them
Yeah.
is that you got to have a holistic approach.
Address all the angles.
Access, quality, relevance, inclusivity.
Everything's connected.
And maybe the most important thing
What's that?
is seeing education as an investment,
Oh, yeah.
not just a cost
Long-term investment.
in the future.
In people.
This has been a great deep dive.
It has.
I've learned a lot.
Me too.
What about you? What's your biggest takeaway?
I think for me, it's that progress is possible,
Even when things are tough,
even when there are huge challenges.
like in Bangladesh.
Yeah, they're facing poverty, limited resources.
But they're still pushing forward.
They're committed to making education better.
It's inspiring.
It is.
It gives me hope.
Me too.
It shows that things can change.
They can.
And that's a powerful message.
It is. And it leaves us with a question for you, the listener.
Oh, okay, hit us with it.
What can we learn from Bangladesh?
Yeah.
And how can we use those lessons to improve education?
In our own communities.
In our own countries.
Around the world.
It's a challenge.
Yes.
But it's one worth taking on.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.